Hello everybody and welcome to the Watch Dan Reviews channel. Today I'll be taking a look at the Seiko SARB035. This is my own personal watch. I picked this one up about 3 years ago, and for the first year and a half it went everywhere that I went. So it's got some love. First things first, wrist check. Rocking my Omega Aquaterra today. Again, another one of my own personal watches that I just love. It's an excellent watch, but we're not here to talk about that today, are we? So without further ado, go ahead and pull this off my wrist. And let's take a look at this bad boy right here. This is a watch that will remain in my collection forever. I have no plans to sell this watch. It was one of my first, quote-unquote luxury purchases. I kind of had a little bit of a Seiko kick for a little while there. And my first 3 watches that I bought, my first 3 automatic watches, were Seikos. And this is one of them. Actually, this was the second I bought after my SKX. You can see that dial is a beautiful off-white, kind of a cream color. It's a really cool dial. It kind of almost, I don't know, it almost looks pearlescent in some lights. The indices in the hands are very nicely done. They have all kinds of little bevels to them, and they reflect the light very nicely. You can see that black line running right down the center of the hands. Believe it or not, that little black line there goes a long ways to legibility on this watch, because, being a white watch with white loom and silver hands, sometimes we run into legibility issues with watches of that type, but not on this watch. And I'll definitely get you guys some loom shots later, because the loom on this watch, believe it or not, is actually really, really good. Moving over to the case profile, there are quite a few little chamfers and bevels on this watch. It has a stainless steel grain, like a satin finish on the top, which transitions down to a bevel that is polished, and a nice polished side. And the mid case has a radius to it, which brings us to the bottom. It just plays with the light, and you can see that the bezel on this goes outward and then it curves inward at the very bottom. And just a small attention to detail that makes this watch very cool. It's a 38mm watch. It's not particularly heavy, but what it does well. The bracelet is stainless steel with solid links affixed by pins and collars, and the clasp is this stamped Seiko rectangle, and it closes with a nice reassuring click. It will never open on your wrist because of those 2 push buttons, one on either side. You have what they call the garage door on one side, which is something that Seiko still struggles with a little bit, honestly, even on their newer watches. I don't know how they can make this side so flush, and then on this side it's such a big gap, but whatever, I paid $300 for this watch. I was a little bit late to the party. Right now they're going for upwards of $600 because they stopped making it. It was a Japanese domestic model, and you can still find them if you're lucky, but they are overpriced to the extreme. I wanted to point out one thing. There is this little step right here from satin finished to a polished bevel, and on 3 out of 4 sides it looks great, but right here, my particular example has a little beauty mark, and it doesn't have the same transition as the other 4 sides do. 3 sides rather. So a little beauty mark, a little over grinding right there. I noticed it right when I bought the watch, and I said, you know what? This is my example. It's imperfect. That's what I love about it, because it's a really cool watch, guys. It doesn't matter if it's got a little beauty mark on it. I'm going to pull the bracelet off this watch and give you a little better look at the case back there. So in the meantime, just take a look at that for a minute, guys. And then I'll snap out of here for just a second and be right back. Get you a close-up of that dial. The applied Seiko logo on there is very nice. It's got a good shine to it. And I love the font of automatic down there. It's just retro and classy looking. I will again go over the Loom. The Loom is one thing on this watch that I actually really love. It's very, very nice. Very legible. It's a really cool watch. All right, guys, I'll be right back. All right, we're back. I'm gonna go ahead and weigh these for you guys real quick before we get a look here. Terry. We are coming in at 57.3 grams for the watch head. And for this bracelet, 70.9 grams. I'll get you a total there at the bottom because math is not my strong suit. So I'll get you a little closer look at this now that the bracelet's off of there. It's a pearlescent white. I love the little needle seconds hand with the diamond at the edge. That's really cool. Case back, flipping it over. We have a 6R15 movement in here. It's a Workhorse movement. It's basically bulletproof. It's never going to crap out on you. But it's never going to keep exceptional time. And this watch, my measurements have shown about plus 10 to 12 seconds per day. So that's not terrible. It's certainly within the limits of this watch, but it could be better, huh? And people say it's not much to write home about. When I first got this watch, I was just blown away by the way this looked, but I was unfamiliar with automatic watches at the time. I knew of them, but not about them. And I get it now. It's, you know, it's not anything to write home about, but it's nice that they give you some, you know, some nice decoration on the rotor there. The rest of it is just kind of a stainless steel, you know, grain finish. It's got all kinds of writing around the back of the case back here. Diashock 23 joules, automatic, water resistant, 10 bar. I have taken this in the ocean. I have taken it in the pool. I've taken it in the jacuzzi, and it's never failed me. It does not have a screw down crown. Sorry, it's dirty there. The crown is not screw down, but that's okay. It seems to be water resistant anyway. Take a look at this bracelet. Nothing too exciting. The female end links are great for articulating on the wrist. A little dirty. That's that, guys. All right, I'm gonna pause this, come back for some Loom shots. Okay, here we are. I'll give you guys some wrist shots. 38mm case on my 7.5-inch wrist. You can see it fits me well, if not a little small. Since I bought this watch, which I wore for a long time, I wore this watch exclusively for at least a year. I've purchased some bigger watches, and this is kind of a classy offering. Usually I'll put this on Sundays when I'm just kind of moping around. But it's an awesome watch. I really love it. Like I said, I have no plans to sell it. Let's go ahead and take it into a darker part of the house so that you guys can see that awesome Loom. You can see it's already starting to glow. It is charged up. And I think that the Loom on this watch is really cool. It's something different than all my other watches, but have a look, guys. You have a double wide indice at 12 o'clock and no indice at 3 o'clock, so orientation is excellent. You can see how well the Loom glows on the hands, which are lined up right now. This seems to keeps on happening to me. The Loom goes from the top through the bottom of the hands, and it glows onto the dial. I don't think any of my other watches have that. They're usually kind of a carved out trough, but the Loom goes all the way through on this watch, and it's very bright. There's not a lot of it, but it's very bright. So it's very easy to tell what time it is on this watch, regardless of how small the Loom plots are. Even in the middle of the night, I can wake up and it's still glowing because Seiko Loom is awesome. So that's the SARB035, guys. I appreciate you watching. If you like what you see, please like, subscribe, comment. Everything helps. And until the next one, everybody have a wonderful day. Bye now.